Here we are. Can y'all hear me? I hope everything's good, everything's cool. Welcome, welcome, welcome. As usual, we're going to get straight into it because I start at 7 sharp. So I'm a Virgo and I'm on time. Now, whether you're in business or you have a job, whether you're an entrepreneur, want to be an entrepreneur, or aren't interested in being an entrepreneur at all, you still have a brand. A brand is the mental space that you take up in someone's mind. Brand doesn't only correlate with people, it correlates with the universe. The universe looks at who you are and how you have branded yourself to the universe. Now, what if I told you that a person can utilize the timeless principles of the universe to cultivate a brand that allows the right people to be attracted to them, income be attracted to them, wealth be attracted to them, and live in the frequency of their values? So, this is esoteric branding. Let's get into it. Big up, Chef Seth. What's up, RTP? All right. So, oh, y'all can't see me. I am here. Okay. So, this is actually, um, oh yeah, apparently like the live. Apparently that's an important thing. I didn't know that. I don't know about that stuff. So, apparently like the live, the three of us who are here currently. So, this is actually a presentation I gave to my clients at the beginning of the year, and they utilize it to earn more money. Now, this is not going to be something I commonly do. I'm not going to commonly take the things I teach my clients in the next realm and deliver it here on YouTube, you know? Otherwise, what's the point? So, yeah, let's get into it though. This is Steve Jobs. Some of you may know who he is. This is Michael Jordan. Some of you may know who he is. And this is Bob Marley. Some of y'all might know who he is. Now, all three of these people have a different brand. Steve Jobs has a different brand in my mind than he might have in your mind. Steve Jobs to me is visionary, involved in technology. He's also, I view Steve Jobs more as an artist than a tech or engineer. He's more of an artist. I also think of Hinduism when I think of Steve Jobs, because Steve Jobs went to India and learned some Hindu practices before he really started taking Apple seriously. So that's Steve Jobs's brand to me. Michael Jordan, competitor, champion, relentless, winner, right? That's Michael Jordan to me. Bob Marley, Jamaica, of course, because I'm Jamaican. Good vibes, one love, good music. Now, I have a particular brand in mind for these people, but you might have a different brand in mind for these people. So comment what you think of when you think of Michael Jordan. And I know there's a little delay. So just comment what you think of when you think of Michael Jordan. What words come to mind? Because this is his brand to you. And while y'all do that, understand that branding can be established through the laws of the universe. Through the laws of the universe, you can build a brand, a timeless brand, like these three people. These people will stand the test of time. We'll be talking about Steve Jobs for a long time, Michael Jordan, and Bob Marley. So, the laws of the universe are mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, and gender. These come from Hermeticism. All 7 of these can be used to cultivate a brand for you that, if you want to earn more money, it can help you earn more money. If you want to draw in particular people into your life, it can assist in that way. If you want to get promoted, it can assist in that way. There's people I work with, they're not entrepreneurs, but they want to get promoted at work, help people get promotions. So we utilize these laws to do it. Mentalism. You think you represent one particular thing. Sometimes the audience thinks you represent something different. Now, it is not possible for you to entirely control other people's mental brand of you, because everybody has different perceptions, different charges in their lives, different histories. So there are some people who are going to think you're a genius. Other people are going to think you're dumb. And that's that, right? You have a different mental brand for them, a mental brand to them, I should say. What you represent to the audience is based on their minds. And when people hear your name or see you, they should have words associated with you. What you're trying to craft is what words you want people to associate with you. Envision what you want to represent. Here I said for those who follow you, but for people in general, what do you want to represent? Correspondence. This is a very important law. So in reality, we have, well, I'll get to that in a second. Here we have Myron Golden. Some of you might know who Myron Golden is. He's got around 1.1 million YouTube subscribers now. And Steven Bartlett on the right, Diary of a CEO. I think he's got over 11 million subscribers. Any of y'all know about these two? Let me know. Now, we live in a spiritual, mental, and physical world. They are all connected. They are all linked together. Whatever happens spiritually happens mentally. Whatever happens mentally happens physically, and vice versa. So, when it comes to Myron Golden, I'm going to explain his mental brand to me and then his physical brand. So his mental brand to me, mind you, this is colored by my perceptions because of who I am. He represents business to me. He represents the Bible because he uses the Bible to teach business concepts. He represents offers because that's all he talks about. He represents professionalism. He wears suits. He speaks a particular way. His physical branding is what you can sense with your five senses, right? What you can sense with your five senses would be things you can see, right? So I can see his suits, right? His beard is part of his branding. He walks with a limp, because he had polio as a kid. So he walks with a limp. That's actually part of his brand, right? And the color blue. It's changed a bit now. He's wearing more black now, but the color blue is associated with Myron Golden's brand. And the color blue is a color used to represent trust. Now, physical branding is very interesting because most people think of only what they can see. But smell is physical branding. If you have a particular scent associated with you, if you wear a particular cologne, that is physical branding. When you walk into certain stores, if you walk into, I don't know, Bath and Body Works or something, they're spraying things in the air to have a particular scent. So it's branded with the store. And scent connects to memory incredibly powerfully. So they're trying to get into your memory through a smell. What you hear when you turn on your Apple computer, right? The Apple computer makes a sound when you turn that on. That's auditory branding, right? Taste, the way food tastes, even the texture of it. If you eat Ruffles chips, it has a particular texture. This is all branding. They didn't have to make the chip like that. These are all physical realm branding elements. With Steven Bartlett, mentally, for me, I think entrepreneur, I think podcast, I think emotions, because he's always trying to get people to cry on his podcast. He'll ask them a question and he can see they're squirming around it and it's something that bothers them, and he'll just push further. Said, how'd that make you feel? Because he comes from a therapist communication style. He's like a male version of Oprah almost, right? And he's curious. He's always asking questions, even simple questions. He's always asking them. But his physical brand, he's always wearing black. He wears black clothes, clean aesthetic. Even his voice has a particular branding to it. And Whoop, he doesn't wear a wristwatch. He wears Whoop, right? What's up, Queen Bee? So remember, everyone will have a different mental brand for you. But physical brand is something you have a lot of control over. You can control your appearance. You can control what scent you wear. You can control the way you speak, and your tone, and your speed, and your inflections, and how you communicate, right? Touch. What are your clothes made out of, right? Even when someone shakes your hand, right? Is your hand warm? Is your skin dry and messed up or whatever? All of these things add to your physical brand. Now, on the internet, we can really only go off mainly what we see and what we hear. But that creates a vibe. It's still important. So this is something business-wise that I teach my clients. But I teach something called Dark Light Brand White, which I learned from one of my mentors, Lewis Mocker. And you basically need, when it comes to your brand on the internet, if you're into business on the internet, you need a dark color, a lighter color than that dark, a brand color, and a white. So it looks something like this. So now you guys are going to see a little of the back end of my brand. So you can see there's a dark color on the left. It's basically black. There's a color that's lighter than it. There is a brand color, which is the purple. For those of you who were around from the beginning, it used to be orange, but I like what purple represents more than orange. Luxury, royalty, hidden things, crown chakra, that type of stuff. And white. And if you've seen my Next Realm page, it looks something like, that's just the top of it, but it looks something like that when you get it all together. So that's a little trick you can use for those of you who are creating brands on the internet. Dark, light, brand, white. Spiritual realm branding. This is very important. How do you make people feel? Me, I never have a full grasp on this. Sometimes I think people are happy to see me. Sometimes I think people are pissed off because sometimes I say things that rub people the wrong way because I'm very forthright about things, and that doesn't rub people the right way sometimes all the time. And I tell people that they've been tricked and scammed and bamboozled, and it twists their perception of reality. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know how people feel about me, but you can still try to craft how people feel about you. Stephen Bartlett very specifically crafts the way he wants people to feel about him. That's why he asks the particular questions he asks. It's intentional. He's an expert interviewer. He didn't just get that way. It's intentional, right? So how people feel is how you tap into the spiritual realm, and I'll tell you why. How people feel will determine what actions they take. At the end of the day, the amygdala is concerned with feeling, and that's how people take actions eventually. I'm a boomer. You don't come across so well. There you go. Queen Bee said I don't come across well. I'm too mean. So how do we make people feel something? I think the greatest way to do it is to share your story. Here's a little psychological trick. If you want people to remember something, tell it in a story. Our minds are more geared to remember the information from storytelling than facts. Okay, so if you watch my videos, you'll see I tell my story. In every video, I mention my past at least one time. For people who are new and haven't found me, I mention stories from my life. I mention stories of people I know. I mention stories of my clients because it sticks in people's mind. My biggest video on my channel right now, main component of it is a story of one of my clients. That's how you get people to remember things. Hey, Faith did some crazy stuff the other day. And one of the biggest things that hold brands back is a lack of relatability. So there's this guy, you probably seen him on the internet. He runs something called the School of Hard Knocks. And he goes up to wealthy people and asks them about their story and where did they start and all this type of stuff. And it's relatable. They tell you, he asked them if they were ever broke, and they're like, oh yeah, I was definitely broke. I was broke 3 times and I did this and, it changed my life. And it's inspiring to people. Now imagine he went to somebody and said, hey sir, how much are you worth? And he goes, I'm worth $500 million. It's like, were you ever broke? No, I never had any struggle ever. I was always rich. Well, the video's done. There's no relatability. People can't relate, so they won't watch. So y'all remember this? Y'all remember when Kendall Jenner was supposed to save racism, right? And it just came off so flat and so many people were upset because there was a lack of relatability. Kendall Jenner hasn't experienced that. You know what I mean? So there's a lack of relatability, and Pepsi thought, well, Kendall Jenner's popular, we'll just associate her with our product. And it was bad for Pepsi's brand. Okay, so relatability is important. They should have got someone else to do that ad. Now, when you hear people say that you're authentic, or when you hear people say that you're authentic is when you're tapping into the spiritual realm, because people can sense authenticity. That's how the soul speaks to one another. You're being authentic when you're living in your highest values. Okay, some of you probably have the Value Finder tool. If you've discovered your highest values and you live through those values, you're going to come off authentically, right? So I think Queen Bee said I don't come off that well. I'm being authentic, so it doesn't bother me, right? If I was inauthentic, the people that are inauthentic, when people attack their character, they get very defensive, highly, highly defensive. Okay. People who are comfortable within their character and their authenticity are less defensive about defending their character. So they're just cool with it, right? That's when you're tapping into the spiritual realm, authenticity. And you'll see people say that about the people they like the most. Because people have a difficult time pinpointing what authenticity is. It's really a spiritual connection. Okay? Vibration, third law of the universe, third hermetic law of the universe. I keep getting told my energy is intense. I'm just being me. Yeah, you might just be being you. That's how it goes sometimes. And I'm going to get to why not everyone is going to like you and not everyone is supposed to like you. I'm going to get to that after this law, actually. So, vibration. Y'all remember, I think it was earlier this year, Jaguar changed their brand entirely. Super flipped their brand. Everyone went crazy. They lost a lot of money. Sorry. But they said they were willing to lose 80% of their customer base. And they probably did. Because Jaguar has a particular brand vibration for decades. Okay, and I'm going to talk about this. When you change the brand vibration, it messes with people and they feel betrayed. So pay attention. At its core, vibration has to do with your own mental state. Okay, the things that are continuously going on in your mind, the charges that are continuously happening in your mind, the rhythm you're in, that creates your vibration, that creates your frequency. And that influences your life. If you have tremendous doubt, for instance, the audience will feel it. They'll be like, I don't believe you. Done. Right? I remember I got on there was a person I had on a sales call. Right? I am good with the wrong people not liking me. Yeah, it's fine. As Faith said. I was on a call with someone who wanted to hire me. And as he was speaking and as I was asking him questions, I could tell that he was riddled with guilt. It was just passing through his speech, passing through his body language. He was riddled with guilt. He could not escape that charge. And he wanted to earn money online by helping people. And, he would need to make content and this type of stuff. And he believed that the purpose of making content was simply to trick people into getting them to buy something from you. I was like, hey, man. If you believe that, you're going to show up with a bunch of guilt and no one's going to buy anything from you because you don't think they should. So you got to clear out some guilt charges. So all I did on that call, I didn't tell him to join my program. I went through a charge clearing exercise with him and I said, when we're finished this, if you still want to join, come join. And he realized he actually doesn't want to do this. He went to go off and be a fireman, and he's saving people's lives in that way. He didn't have to come and make content. That's not what he wanted to do. He had a guilt charge around it. We dispelled that. He's doing what he's actually supposed to do with his life. So be very careful of guilt and be very careful of the charges you have. They will mess up the way you show up online. So I have something here called the perception lectures, because remember I said this was a presentation I give my clients, but the perception lectures, they have to do with aura and magnetism, how you speak, how you come off, your body language, your movements. It's really around aura creation and magnetism. And, but that used to only be in the next realm. You can get that training. It's the aura training in my Gumroad store, my Ascension store. It's only $100 now. All my trainings, they're only $100. So if you're interested in that, check it out after. Now, your brand vibration needs to be consistent. You need to get bored before other people get bored. Okay? You think the audience is bored or whoever is bored, you need to get bored before them. That's how you know you have a consistent brand vibration. There is a reason why Bob Proctor, Tony Robbins, DeMartini, Warren Buffett, Coca-Cola have been around decades, okay? They've been doing the same thing for decades. One, they're doing what they value so they can do it for the long haul. And you need to be very careful of people who jump from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. They have not yet discovered what they want to do with their lives, and they're not purpose-driven yet. You're going to have points in your life where you're discovering what to do, where you're figuring out your purpose, and you will hop around from thing to thing. But once you see someone has locked in on something, they will grow. It is inevitable. They will earn money. It is inevitable because the frequency will become potent. DeMartini has been teaching the same thing for 30 years. Tony Robbins has been teaching the same thing for 30 years. Warren Buffett's been doing the same thing for decades. He's in his 90s. See how much money he has because the frequency is potent. Okay? You get bored before other people get bored. Now, just like that's a lot of channels trying to trick people. So just like physical frequency, your brand frequency, it compounds over time. Compounds, gets stronger, gets more potent, more things are attracted to it. So brand vibration is very important. It's like when Coca-Cola, I don't know if you guys know this story, but Coca-Cola made a drink called New Coke, and they changed the flavor of Coca-Cola. People were outraged. They were destroying Coca-Cola vending machines, breaking bottles, protesting in the street. Coca-Cola had to change back their formula. When you mess with your brand vibration, people feel betrayed, and nobody likes to feel betrayed. Okay? That's how they have become the experts in their field. Yes. Shiny object syndrome is a red flag in business. Yes. So I want you guys to look at the people on the internet, the gurus who keep bouncing from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. Okay? And you will notice that a lot of people call them scammers. You'll notice. They might have things that help people, but they jump from thing to thing to thing to thing. They don't necessarily care about really helping people. They care about making fast cash, fast money, go to what's hot, go, 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 go. Now, you can live like that. You can have some success, but reputation is a law that is not to be broken in the 48 laws of power. Repairing reputation is very difficult. If you build a reputation for being good at something and an expert in your field, you will always be able to draw in income. You will always be able to be magnetic. You will always draw in the right people. Okay? Cool. So, that's Jaguar. Polarity. Imposter syndrome at play. Yeah. So, polarity. This is probably the most important law, universal law, when it comes to your brand. More than mentalism, more than correspondence, maybe not more than vibration. Maybe not more than vibration. Might be a little reach. But polarity is very important. This here is Andrew Tate. I'm sure some of you know who he is. Many people know who he is. He became famous because he's incredibly polarizing. Super polarizing. Half the internet hates him. Half the internet loves him. That's why he became the most Googled man on the planet in 2022 or something, right? Because he is incredibly polarizing. This is one of the most important parts of your brand. I want you to understand something. People are going to love you and hate you. That is the way of the universe. Whatever you value, there will be an opposite set of values to oppose it. And the more your values get projected into the world, the more famous you become, the more that noise against you will increase. It is a homeostatic balancing vector of the universe. Now, many people don't put themselves out there, don't become who they could become, don't become magnetic and broadcast something into the world because they are afraid of the hate they will get. They are afraid of the attacks that might come their way. Listen, you don't need to be mega famous to live a good life or to earn money and any of that stuff. You don't need to be mega famous. But even something as simple as going for a job interview, if you cannot deal with the fact that they might tell you no, you won't even go to the interview. That's polarity, okay? It's very important. So this is Jane Woodward. Jane Woodward is the CEO of, I think the CEO or founder of Dermalogica. They are a skincare brand. And I'm going to read you a quote from her. She said, piss off 80% to turn on 20. Though there's a typo there. Y'all know I'm human, at least. Okay, piss off 80% to turn on 20%. Because if we're not being decisive, truthful, and slightly disruptive, we're not being true to ourselves. And if we're not doing any of that, everyone will like us, but not a lot. And if everyone's going to hate us, everyone will hate us, but not a lot. We can't walk the middle ground. Now, me, as someone who teaches balance and teaches balancing the polarities and teaches the middle way, because that's really the way of the master, Jane Woodward is not polarized. She is using polarity to control the masses. Okay? I teach you to be measured in mind, but I teach this to my clients. You must be measured in mind and polarized in brand if you want to be magnetic. A magnet is magnetic because it has a negative and positive pole. Okay? So if you're just one thing and no one disagrees with you, no one's going to care. You're towing the line too much. It's better to be disliked for who you are than loved for who you're not. All right, I went through a smear campaign. I know what hate is. There you go, as Queen Bee said. That's what I'm working on at the moment. I just cleared fear of being assassinated yesterday. Wow. What are you doing to be assassinated? Jeez. Oh, no, you clear of being assassinated because of being famous. Okay, that makes a little more sense. Hold on, let me move this camera a bit. Fear of being assassinated, being famous. I'll tell you this. If enough people dislike you, you could be president because a proportionate amount of people will love you. As you can see with the USA and Donald Trump, half the world hates Trump, half the world loves Trump, and he's president and has had assassination attempts on him. This is a concept called heuristic escalation. This means whatever force is in the universe, like I said before, there is an equal force coming to meet it. When people push the pendulum too far of rhythm, I'm going to get to rhythm soon. When people push the pendulum too far, it swings back with the same veracity and bad things happen. Okay? So Trump pushed the pendulum so far, he had 2 assassination attempts. Those are designed to humble him, right? Because he had a massive vector of pride. The balancing vector of pride is shame and humility. So those assassination attempts occurred to make him more humble. Okay? Even with Andrew, he was arrested. Those things are to humble people when these things happen, right? Just trying to balance you out in the universe. Now, you must know what you stand for and stand against. The USA did a good job of this with the war on terror. The war on terror is an idea. Terror is an idea. Terror isn't a person. If you make an enemy of an idea, you will galvanize people forever because it is an enemy you can fight against forever. Batman will always have the Joker. And we will continue to watch because it is a clash of good and evil. It's a clash of polarities. It is an enemy. So if you build an enemy for people, they'll stick around. That's something to fight against. People, surprisingly enough, we think we don't need conflict in our life, but we do in order to grow. So people will create conflicts in their life if they have none, right? So people who we look at as like highly privileged and all this type of stuff, they create conflicts in their life because they need them. Throw rocks at other methods. You see me do this. This is to purposely polarize people. You're getting the sauce now. I'll throw rocks at other manifestation methods. I'll throw rocks at certain meditations, and I'll throw rocks at all kind of stuff. But if that works for you, it's fine. I'm just polarizing the audience. So now you know the secret, okay? You want to magnetize your group and repel everyone else. You want those set of people to be on the same page as you, right? And if you try to please everyone, you please no one. Too much choice is no choice at all. Have strong opinions and let them be known. Let them be known. The wrong people will move away. The right people will be attracted. And no matter what you do, people will dislike you. So you may as well just be yourself. Mr. Beast said this. Mr. Beast was building wells in Jamaica or helping people and this type of stuff. And he gets so much flack and so much hate for it. He said, if you want to be loved, don't help people. It doesn't even make sense. But because he is who he is, regardless of what he does, people will dislike him. Right? Use the Fear Breaker tool. That's another one of my tools in my Ascension store. Probably one of the best tools I've made. It will help you crush any fear so you can show up the way you need to. And I use it with basically like everyone in the next realm, and then they show up and start killing it. There was a guy I had, he runs these events for young entrepreneurs in Australia, and he had some blocks. He did the Fear Breaker. They sold out SeaWorld in Australia like 2 or 3 weeks later. Crazy. Rhythm. How do you deal with haters and naysayers? I will get to that. After I deal with this, we got three more laws. Rhythm's pretty short, and I'll look over the comments. So rhythm. This is Aaron Doughty. Some of you might know who he is in the spiritual niche, manifestation niche, etc. Some of you might know who he is. When I first started my channel, I had no idea who he was. A client let me know of him. She said he uploaded a YouTube video every day for years. Every day. That was his rhythm. Okay, rhythm. The tides go in and out. The sun rises, the sun sets, the earth rotates in rhythm, your heart beats in rhythm. Everything has its rhythm in the universe. Everything breathes. Everything goes in and out. Okay? So that was Aaron's rhythm. Every single day, YouTube. Go, 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 go. He has over 1.7 million subscribers now. Can't say that he doesn't have some influence and some empowerment due to that. And I think he uploads like every other day now, or maybe even less. But that was his rhythm for a long time. There's William Brown. He's a business coach. He's actually Nero's business coach. If y'all know about Nero Knowledge, which I'm sure many of you do, because most of the people on my channel get recommended my channel in the YouTube algorithm from Nero's channel. Funny enough, because I can see that on YouTube now. From Nero and from what's the guy's name? Elmer Locker Jr. So William Brown, business coach. He uploads every Sunday. That's his rhythm. Every week, every Sunday, and it's always about business. That's his brand frequency. Always business, always the same sort of business. And he's always in a nice location. He's in Bali, or he's on vacation somewhere, or he's in his Dubai penthouse. So it's consistent. This is brand frequency, but he has a rhythm. Rhythm is important because it creates a lot of trust in your brand. It creates consistency. Now, this is something I struggle with. I'm consistent on YouTube. I'll upload at least once or twice a week, but I don't have a distinct day, like every day this is the day it comes out. Like, I'll just put the video out just cause, right now I'm consistent with these live videos on Thursday. That's a level of rhythm for me. But YouTube right now, I'm deciding what it is I want to do. Do I want to go daily? Do I want to go twice a week, 3 times a week? What particular days, right? So it's still something I'm working out. But what can you deliver and how often? Right? If you're into building a personal brand, or into making money online, or into helping people, coaching in a particular way, can you do a weekly YouTube video? Can you do a weekly newsletter? Can you do one Instagram post a day? What can you do? What can you just maintain? Right? Even outside of that, like just like for your health, what can you maintain for your health? Can you go to the gym once or twice a week? What rhythm can you build for yourself? Causation. This is the law of cause and effect. So this is the Nike swoosh, branding. Once again, y'all know what this is. When you interact with Nike's brand, what effect does it have on you? So when someone's wearing a Nike tracksuit, you assume things about them. Maybe they're athletic, maybe they're into particular types of culture, maybe they're into particular types of fashion, maybe they're sporty. You think things about them. You make judgments. Everyone says, oh, I don't judge. You make judgments all the time. It's built for your survival, okay? We try to overcome judgment, but ultimately the survival instinct is going to judge things. So what effect does it have on you? When you wear Nike, what effect does it have on you? How does it make you feel? How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel good? Do you feel like it says something about you? Do you feel sporty? This is cause and effect. Every effect has a cause, and everything that happens in reality can be linked back to some sort of cause, and the ultimate cause is the initial creation spark of the universe. The Hermetics call it the All, the Christians call it God, the Hindus call it Brahma, the atheists call it the Big Bang. Same thing, initial creation spark of the universe. Now, what effect does your brand have on your audience, on your employer, on your friends? When you make content, if you do make content, what effect do you want to have on people? When I make my content, I want to take people out of the dark. That's the effect I want to have on people. They have been doing certain things for a long period of time, been clouded up in certain polarized emotions and lacking certain enlightenments, and I want to pull them out of that. That's the effect I want to have on people. Am I successful? Maybe. Time will tell. What sort of actions does your brand cause people to take? What actions do people do? Do people actually do something? You have influence. Influence is a level of empowerment. What does it cause people to do? Even if it's just like a video, even if it's leave a comment, even if it's show up to a live. What does it cause people to do? And what does your brand cause people to feel, as we talked about on the spiritual plane? So this is Layla Hormozi. This is Alex Hormozi's wife. Alex Hormozi is probably the biggest business creator on YouTube right now. He just did a launch that made him $100 million in a weekend. Layla has massive causation on Alex's brand. Why? She caused more women to find Alex. Here's the thing about branding. Remember I said relatability? If you are a man, you're probably going to draw in men. If you're a woman, you're probably going to draw in women. Here's the thing. Layla caused women to find Alex or be more comfortable with Alex because he's co-signed by a female. My wife, right, having my wife in my videos caused my audience to jump up in female viewers. Cause and effect, right? She's inspiring to female entrepreneurs. She added a relationship element to the brand, which is always nice for people. People love relationships. And it ultimately increased the bottom line of the business because different people came into the brand. Gender. All these people I mentioned all do something similar. They project a message into the world. They project something to people. Okay? All of these people. Steve Jobs, his projection was the product of Apple. Bob Marley was music. Michael Jordan was playing the game and inspiring people. Right? Stephen Bartlett is the podcast that he does. It's all projection. This is the law of gender, and it's incredibly powerful, incredibly important. If you master gender, polarity, and vibration, you can have a very successful brand. Very successful if you master that. You don't even need to have consistent physical brand. You don't need to wear the same colors all the time and all that stuff like Hormozi does. He wears the same thing all the time. Stephen Bartlett wears the same thing all the time. Steve Jobs wears the same thing all the time, right? You don't need to do that if you master gender, polarity, and vibration. Your brand is a masculine projection into the world. This does not mean men and women. In the universe, we have masculine projection and feminine receiving. Okay, so income is a feminine vector. It is receiving things. Your brand's a masculine projection into the world. That projection allows you to femininely receive money and opportunities. Why is this? Circulation. You do not get without giving first, and you don't give without getting as well. So when you give, you project something into the world, you will get things, whether it's attention, whether it's money, whether it's whatever it is, you will get things. When you give, you also get. You give some money to the homeless, you get good feelings about yourself. You've gotten something. Okay? A big problem as to why people struggle with money a lot of the time, it's not that they don't know enough. It's not that they are lacking certain mindset things. It's not that they're lacking a skill. They're simply too selfish. They won't give enough. Okay? And when they do give, they have a lot of expectations behind it. There's 3 types of people in the world. There are the balancers, there are the givers, and there are the takers. Takers, just stay away from them. Those are the scammers. Those are the people that just want to extract things from you. They don't care. They'll take your stuff and they will leave. Okay? The balancers, they play tit for tat. They're like, you did this for me, I'm going to do this for you, and it's going to be balanced. Cool. The givers give because they want to see the world be a better place. And the greatest entrepreneurs are like this. Steve Jobs wanted the world to be a better place through Apple. He wanted to see a particular vision of the world and help people a particular way. Not everyone liked Steve Jobs. He was disagreeable. He was mean to a lot of people. But he wanted to cast his vision on the world, and he ultimately believed that it would help humanity. Okay? So if you're a giver, you will get. You just have to be genuinely giving. And you genuinely give when you live in your values. Your brand projects into the world. Okay? And the potency of that projection is linked to all the other esoteric branding laws, from mentalism to causation. All of those things link together to create your projection. When you project your brand and message into the world with truth, with belief, with conviction and magnetism, that helps people. You receive money. Okay? That's how it works. Anytime you have gotten money, it's because of something you have projected into the universe. If you boil it back down to cause and effect, it is something you have projected into the universe. Okay? If you got a job, you had to show up to that job interview. You had to say certain things. You needed to look a certain way. You needed to project a brand to somebody, and you got hired. If you're an entrepreneur, people need to know what you do. So you needed to project something into the world in order to get paid. When you give, you get. And that is the presentation for today. Any questions? Oh, well, the chat was going off today and we got people. So questions, let me pull these up. Let me just look over here. People are saying hi. People are saying, hey, great, great. I'm just going to look over these. Okay, basketball, that was in relation to Michael Jordan. Queen Bee says she watches both Myron Golden and Stephen Bartlett. Good stuff. Faith hopped in. And a lot of channels trying to trick people. Absolutely. Absolutely. Here's the thing. I don't blame people for that. You know, people have imposter syndrome, and that's an entirely different video. I think someone asked a question about that. I can't answer that when I get to it. People have imposter syndrome because they haven't become balanced in the mind, and they are trying to project something greater than what they are, and they are trying to be something greater than they know, and that causes a balancing vector in the mind to make you dial back because you know that you're showing up a particular way that's not authentic. Now, here's the thing. Imposter syndrome often happens because you're comparing yourself to people who are way ahead of you. If I sit down here and talk about business and compare myself to Hormozi, I will have imposter syndrome. Hormozi made $100 million in a weekend. Hormozi has made hundreds of millions of dollars. Hormozi has 3 million YouTube subscribers. Okay? Hormozi's doing the thing. Hormozi also put out 35,000 pieces of content in a year. If I compare myself to that, I will have imposter syndrome. You cannot compare yourself to other people in that way. You can only compare yourself to yourself. Did you elevate today? Did you elevate this week? Did you do better this week? What are you doing? Are you being more consistent? Are you one step ahead of somebody you're trying to help? This is how you defeat imposter syndrome. Stop comparing yourself to people. And what you actually need to understand is there's no need for comparison because you have the same level of mastery in something that you're comparing yourself to. So if I look at Hormozi for business, yes, he's a master of business. But where do I have mastery in my life? Where have I had influence in my life? Where have people sat down and listened to what I said? You already have the traits within you. You just think you're not as good as somebody else. And when you balance out that pedestalization you have of people, you'll be amazed what could happen. You might even meet them. Okay? You might even meet them. This happened with a lot of celebrities I've met because I used to work in the music industry as a sound engineer, and I met tons of celebrities. But it's because I didn't pedestalize them. If you pedestalize them, you will not be around them. Okay? Shiny object syndrome is a red flag in business. I agree. You want to deal with people who are dedicated to something. They're going to have the most potent help for you. It's like John DeMartini, who I would say is my main mentor. He has been doing the same thing for decades. And that's why he's the best at it, and he's a multimillionaire. So I become the experts in their field. Imposter syndrome at play. That's what I'm working on at the moment. I just cleared a fear of being assassinated. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, don't get assassinated. You have to understand how far you're willing to push the pendulum and how famous you want to be. Okay? You don't have to be mega famous. Me, I don't need to be mega famous, right? I just want to have enough attention, enough influence, whatever it is, to live the life that I desire to live. But I don't need to be so famous that people want to take my life. I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that. Past life stuff. I'm a modern day female William Wallace, not a politician. Play devil's advocate. That helps. If you get people to question their beliefs, it's very powerful. How do you deal with haters and naysayers? I understand that haters are a balancing mechanism. Okay? I get hate on my videos sometimes. The other day, I released a short about heaven and hell and how they use it as a polarizing thing to influence your behavior. Because if I tell you you'll go to heaven, if you follow what I value, you'll do that. If I tell you you'll go to hell, if you don't do what I value, you will follow what I say. And if you're polarized enough, I can get you to do anything I want for a fantasy or a fear, right? So I made a short about this, and I got comments like, no, you don't know what you're talking about. Hell isn't lava and brimstone and blah, 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 blah. Like, I get these comments. There's something about that I may have had a pride vector about, and I got hate to balance it out, right? Sometimes the hate is trying to tell you something. In my first video that went viral, right? I got compared a lot to Nero. So there were people like, yo, this is just like Nero stuff. This is the same thing Nero says, blah, 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 right? And it's not like he's the only one who learns and researches this stuff, but it stood out to me that I was overly influenced in that particular way. So what did I do? I became more authentic, right? That was a balancing vector to help me. You need to stop looking at hate as attacks on your character and look at it as the universe trying to help you. Okay? Sometimes just BS and you can just delete it or whatever, but sometimes you got to pay attention to it, right? Holdness from Barbados. Okay. Never too late to like up the live. Thanks, RTP Lay. So, any questions, guys? It doesn't have to do with the branding stuff we talk about. Anything about esoteric knowledge. Anything about business, income, mindset. Anything y'all want to know? Let me know. I know there is a delay on the live. I don't want to be famous. I want to walk the earth totally anonymous, which is fine. Totally fine. I know a very rich man who, like, no one knows. He does not desire to be known because fame comes with drawbacks. Fame comes with drawbacks, guys. A lot of people think, oh man, if I get all this attention and I get all this fame, my life will be set. No, there will be drawbacks. There is no benefits without drawbacks. And I think being rich and anonymous is actually very useful. You can actually live your life. You can actually go outside. Can you imagine what it would be like to be like Justin Bieber and you can't even walk out of your house? I do not want to do that at all. Right? So, and due to that, right, due to that belief and that charge around that, that likely will create a cap for me where I don't want to grow anymore. And if I overcome it, then I'll grow more and more and more and more. But for now, I'm like, I just need to have enough attention to do what I want to do in my life, right? You also have to remember, influence is a sphere of power in the universe. So there's 7 elements of empowerment. You have spiritual, mental, physical, relational, income, financial, and influence. Influence is a sphere of power. When you say things or you ask people to do things, do they mobilize? Because that will allow you to change your reality. So some of the people I mentioned in the presentation, like a Tate, he has a massive level of influence on a particular sect of young men in the world. So when he says something, they mobilize. That's powerful. Okay, that's a sphere of empowerment. But if you don't have particular connections, particular projection towards people, you won't have influence, right? You don't need to be famous to have influence. You don't need to be famous to have influence, but attention does help influence, right? And it's a sphere of power, right? The other spheres of power are they're very 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 interesting, and they're all connected. But yeah, I think I made a video on it. What the Earth totally anonymous. Yep. Any other questions? Wholeness from Barbados. Okay. Amazing. I have not been to Barbados. I have some family from there though. Yes, I do. Oh, guys, can I ask you something? Can I ask for a bit of assistance from you guys? I need to get where is this thing? I need to get the link. So if you guys have watched my content or you guys have got any value from it and anything like that, there's a survey I have that you guys can fill out at the end of this live, and it would help me out a lot because I want to know how I can better help you guys. So I'm going to pin that, and after the live, y'all can fill that out. It's 9 quick questions. Helps me know more about what's going on with my audience and where you guys are at and how I can better help you, because sometimes I'm just shooting in the dark, and I would love to know where you guys are so I could better assist you with this YouTube content. Shannon Moore says, how do you let go of what others think of you? Great question. You let go of what others think of you when you become less charged on shame and guilt. So when you're highly concerned about what others think, is because you have something in your past where you are guilty or shameful about something. So you're worried about what other people think. So I give the example of Cardi B, right? Cardi B's in trial or whatever recently. And if you see her, she's just being ridiculously authentic. Like, she's saying stuff in court that you're just not supposed to say, right? She's like swearing and all type of stuff. But that's because she has less shame than other people, right? She doesn't care what they think because she's canceled out levels of shame. So what you need to do is you need to go back to some of the events in your life where you felt ashamed or you felt guilty, and you need to see, and hold on, let me backtrack a bit. You need to go back to the instances of your life where you have felt shame and you have felt guilt. Shame and guilt are things you think you did to other people, bad things that you think you did to other people. Okay? So you need to go back in your life, see what those things are, and you need to see the benefits that those things had in your life. How did that event benefit you? Not only how did it benefit you, how did it benefit the other person too that you think you did something bad to? How did it benefit them? Now, if you did something, right, if you projected something into the world and you were happy about it and you thought great things were going to happen and somebody shot you down, then you need to look at that event and also see how that event was good for you. Because there is no bad without good. There is no light without dark. So while you're polarized on a shame vector, you need to weigh up the benefits, right? So one time I was in a network, right? I was in a network, and somebody, I don't remember what they said to me, but they had said something to me that made me feel very embarrassed, right? Highly embarrassed. And I was like, yo, what the hell? Like, why would they say that and embarrass me in front of all these people? I don't remember what it was. I wish I could. But all I remember was being so upset that I'm like, yo, I'm going to the gym. I'm going to make more money. I'm going to make this person look stupid, right? And that's what I did, right? I got more fit. I made more money, and I lapped them, right? I passed them. That's a benefit of shame. You understand? If that event never happened, I would have never done that. And that's a benefit now. So when I saw him, because it happened in like a discussion group, when I saw him in real life, I thanked him. I said, thank you for telling me that, because I'm here now. The event we were at, it costs a lot of money, right? I was able to pay for it because what he told me motivated me. So every shame has a benefit to it. And when you start canceling them out, you'll care less about what people think. Right? You'll care less about what people think. Also, when you're living in your values, you care less about what people think. And it's very easy for people to see this with their children. If you value children and someone is going to harm your kid, you don't care what anyone else thinks. You're going to defend your kid. You're going to fight and you're going to make sure they're defended. You don't care what anyone else thinks because you have high value on your children. So if you're living in your values, you're going to care less anyways. You're not going to care, right? If somebody attacks your values, you will fight back. But other than that, if you're not supercharged, you'll be totally fine. Totally fine. I hope that helps. I sometimes ramble on. I'm trying to work on that. But yeah. Just find the benefits to your shame. Another thing you can do, and I teach this in my Fear Breaker tool, which is on my Ascension store. You also need to find the benefits of people thinking problematic things about you. So let's say you don't want to put something into the world because you're worried about what people think. Let's say they say you're dumb, right? Let's say they say that. Oh man, they think I'm stupid. Oh my gosh. No. What's the benefit to that? Maybe you get more succinct in your language. Maybe you get more succinct with how you present things. Maybe you get better at what you do because they said that. Benefits and drawbacks. Thank you. I'm glad that helped out, Shannon. Any other questions, y'all? Otherwise, I will jump off in 4 minutes. If I don't get to your question by 8 o'clock, which is in 4 minutes, if I don't get to your question, save it for next week. Pop it in the beginning of the chat, right? But, yep, a lot of pride will also, so you got shame and you got pride. Pride will also not make people show up. If you have too much pride, you're too cool. I'm too cool to show up and do that. This happens in the music industry a lot, okay? A lot, because I come from the music industry. You'll have artists who are super talented, like amazingly talented. They could really make something happen, but they're too cool, so they don't grow. Like, I'm not making a TikTok. What do you mean I'm going to go make a TikTok? Why am I going to go make a TikTok? I'm too cool for that. So they have too much pride, and they don't grow, right? Well, people need to come to me. I'm that fantastic. I'm that great. Well, good luck, right? Even Bob Marley, okay? Bob Marley, when he signed to Island Records, they signed him as like, they tried to make him appear as like a black rock band. And he was doing these white clubs basically. And they're Rastas, and they didn't really want to be doing the white clubs. They wanted to be performing more music for black people. But Bob Marley was like, this is what we got to do if we want to get to those stages. This is what we got to do. Bob Marley is one of the biggest entertainers in all of history, right? Because he toned down that pride and was able to show up where he needed to show up. If you have too much pride, it will affect what people think of you, right? So they're both a balancing vector, and that's because with the law of polarity, the furthest spectrums, the same thing happens. So if you're too guilty, you won't show up, and if you're too proud, you won't show up. If you're too guilty, you won't be authentic. If you're too proud, you won't be authentic. Boom. Oh, there's 20 people here. This might be the most people that were on here, or 20 concurrent viewers. Sorry. Oh, shoot. 20 concurrent viewers. Who else has questions? Who else has questions? We got 1 more minute. If I see another question, I will answer it. I will. Because I love to teach, guys. So as much as you might get value from this, I get just as much value because I love to teach. It's what I love to do. Regardless of how I feel, I wake up and ask myself, how can I teach in the world today? So thank you for helping me fulfill my purpose. I'll wait one more minute if no one else has questions. I wish YouTube had like a typing thing, like letting you know people are typing. Okay. If not, I'll give it one more minute and then I'll hop off. Fill out the survey. It would really, really help me out. I would really, really greatly appreciate it. If you've ever gotten any value from my channel or you got value from this presentation at all, it will be uploaded hopefully tomorrow. Hopefully tomorrow it'll be uploaded and we'll be good to go. All right then. Oh, the psychological connection you make in your content is very helpful. Appreciate that. Yeah, man. I try and learn as much about the brain and the mind as I can. And what I find, I made a video about this today, I think. What I find, particularly in the manifestation space, is that they ignore psychology. And it matters. Okay. Now, not all psychology is 100% valid, but there are some things that are pretty valid and pretty well documented. And physical, mental, and spiritual is all connected. So if something is demonstrated in the physical realm constantly, there is a mental and spiritual thing happening. First of all, I will say, I believe in manifestation, but I believe in manifestation in a very practical way. I believe in manifestation in turning thought, idea, or theory into reality. And I always give the example. If I tell you to draw a stick figure, you're going to envision the stick figure and then you're going to draw it. That's manifestation. Okay? It's not necessarily sitting in your house and doing nothing and hoping that income and wealth comes into your life. The mental element helps. The mental saturation of the thought helps, but you're still going to have to take some sort of action. Something's going to have to happen, right? Even if you get $1 million dropped in your bank account, you can't use that money if you don't take some sort of action with your debit card, credit card, move the money, right? Nothing will change. But the manifestation niche tends to ignore psychology a lot because it pokes some holes in it. So manifestation a lot of the time has to do with positive thought, thinking positively, pretty much living in a fantasy state constantly. The opposite side of fantasy is fear. People who get really, really, really entrenched in manifestation, you'll notice have a lot of fear. Usually. They're usually afraid of losing things. They're afraid their life isn't going to work out. They're afraid of their current situation. There are problems with that, right? Now, in psychology, typical manifestation would tell people that those people can't manifest because they're thinking too negatively. Well, you got to think positively. You got to think of what you want or you're not going to get it. It's not true. In psychology, you have openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. Now, most people who find manifestation content are highly open, very high in trait openness, which means you're open to new ideas. You might like art. You might like beautiful things. You like things that are hidden, new, different, occult even, right? People who are highly open are also susceptible to manipulation because sometimes they tend to be agreeable. I can pretty much guarantee that everyone on my channel who has found my channel is high in trait openness. I can almost guarantee it. And when I work with people, I find out their psychological profile of these 5 things so I know how to work with them. So everyone's open. The psychological trait that manifestation doesn't take into account is neuroticism, which is your proclivity to negative emotion and negative thought. Yeah. A negative thought. Some people simply have a more proclivity to negative thought. Warren Buffett is one of these people, okay? Warren Buffett is trying to mitigate losses. That is negative thinking. I'm not trying to lose stuff is what Warren Buffett's thinking, right? I'm trying to gain stuff and I'm not trying to lose stuff, and I'm not trying to lose stuff more than I'm trying to gain stuff. To the point I've seen in manifestation stuff that if they tell you, if someone told you to make a budget, a manifestation creator might tell you don't make a budget because it's limiting beliefs and it is limiting your income and is limiting what you do. What? Okay. Now, neuroticism, which my wife is actually very high in neuroticism, but she lives a great life. Proclivity to negative thought and negative emotion. So you mean to tell me these people can't manifest? It's not true. There are tons of billionaires that are highly neurotic. They will tell you that they are miserable. And this is because vibration doesn't have to do with only your feelings. It has to do with what you know. Some of you may have seen this video today, right? And people are signed off because I'm talking some real things. It's polarizing, all right? There are billionaires who are miserable. They have a high proclivity to negative emotion. But being high vibration does not necessarily only have to do with your emotions. It has to do with what you actually know, your awareness. Whether I'm sad and or happy, I know how to make a YouTube video. Whether a billionaire is sad or happy, they know how to make money and control reality in a particular way. So when it comes to manifestation, you can't just block out neurotic people because they've obviously demonstrated that they can change reality. So what do we do for those people? What can they do? They can't manifest because they don't think positively? No way, right? No way. So when I deal with somebody who's more neurotic, I don't tell them to stop being neurotic. It's futile. I'm not going to tell them to stop doing that. I'm going to help them use that neuroticism to win. Michael Jordan was highly neurotic, guys. He had a lot of negative fuel. The story I just told you guys about the guy who embarrassed me, that's neuroticism at play. I felt bad and I used it to win. So sometimes your negative thoughts can help you get to a positive place. And sometimes your positive thoughts can pull you into a negative place. So you got to be balanced. That's the way of the universe. You got to be balanced, right? Because a lot of people, unfortunately, are positively pondering their way into poverty. I'm not saying not to think good, guys. I'm not saying to think badly or think negatively. But if you have more proclivity to neuroticism, it's not over for you. You can actually win big. Very, very big. So I just want to say that. Yeah, that's why I said that. Was just watching that video before the live. The psychology profiles made a whole lot of sense. Yeah, that's how it works. And me, my psychology profile, I'm high in trade openness. Otherwise, I wouldn't be into this sort of content. I'm highly conscientious. I'm in the 97th percentile of conscientiousness. And conscientiousness is just like orderliness, your rate of like caring about stuff and wanting to do things well, not being sloppy, essentially. Highly conscientious. Now, a lot of people don't want to say this, but different psychological profiles have certain relationships to income and money. So people who are more conscientious tend to earn more money. Now, that doesn't mean if you're low in conscientiousness, you can't earn money. You just need to utilize the other elements of your character to earn money. So I would say Sir Richard Branson is his name, who owns Virgin Airlines. I don't think he's a very conscientious guy, but he's very good at connecting people. That guy built an airline with zero money down. Okay? You got to be good at connecting people. And the reason he runs his business the way he runs his business and has assistants for everything is because he's not conscientious, right? But he still became a billionaire. But on average, the way that the current physical reality is set up, conscientiousness helps people earn money. I'm highly conscientious. I'm not very extroverted, despite showing up on YouTube. I like to be in my house. I don't like to go anywhere. I'm a hermit in my office. I work out in the basement. I come back to my office. I read books. I work on YouTube. I'm introverted, right? So I'm not very extroverted. I'm not very agreeable either, which is why some people dislike me. And I'm skeptical. People who are disagreeable are highly skeptical, right? People who are highly agreeable, they believe everything. Me, I'm skeptical. That's why when people come to my channel, I dispel certain beliefs they have about things. I say that doesn't make sense, right? So I'm disagreeable, but I'm not very high in neuroticism. I don't have a lot of proclivity towards negative emotion. And if you want to figure out your psychological profile, there's a lot of tests online, and I think some of them are free, and they're pretty accurate. I have everyone who works with me do one because I work with them differently based on their psychological profile. I'm an open-minded skeptic. So you're like me. I have high trait openness. I think I'm in maybe 80th, 90th percentile of openness, but I'm highly disagreeable, super skeptical. I'm always the type of person where somebody tells me something and I'm like, Is it really like that? And I got to find out for myself. Right? I think it comes from my father. My father always told me, he's like, don't just take things at face value. Uh, Learn things for yourself, you know? And that's how I go sometimes. Sometimes I'm just like, it's helped me and it's hindered me. There's times I could have been more agreeable. Disagreeable people get into conflicts with people. Disagreeable people care less about people's emotions and can get into problems with that. You're like me. I'm older. Yeah. I think as we age, we get more disagreeable, actually. But yeah, I'm disagreeable guy. Like I am in maybe 11th percentile of agreeableness, right? So, you know, hats off to my wife because she can deal with me because I'm disagreeable guy. You know, but it's who I am. I just try to show up as I am and not sugarcoat it. And if people like it, they like it. If people don't, they don't. I think even DeMartini is probably pretty disagreeable, um, due to just the type of things he teaches. I'm like, yeah, wise man. Thank you, thank you. You know, wisdom is applied knowledge. You can learn all the things you want to learn in the world, but if you don't use them, you're not wise. So, coolio. Any other questions? I really appreciate y'all for showing up on the live. I highly appreciate that. And it will be happening next week if my wife isn't in labor because she is 34 weeks now. So baby's coming soon and she's feeling it. So baby's got to come out soon. All right. Well, I think that is that. I'm going to head out. The right people will like us for the right reasons. Absolutely. Hold on. I used to be a chronic people pleaser. No. Yeah, don't do that. I used to be like that too. But we eventually find out that it doesn't serve us. You know, we eventually build so much resentment that we have to change. Resentment, guilt, shame, balancing vector to eventually make us do something about it, right? Eventually do something about it. Apparently, like the live, y'all, like it, and yeah, the right people will like us for the right reasons. Absolutely. Do not compromise who you are just to let people like you because you will not live a good life. And I will see y'all next week. I have more videos to upload. I'm recording every day right now. I don't know if I'm going to be releasing every day, but I'm here doing stuff. And yes, I am a Virgo. Got another Virgo arriving. Oh, yeah, she might be a Virgo. That would be crazy. Draw response. I keep thinking I'm about to hop off, but then people start talking. It's like the algorithm senses when I'm gonna leave and just makes the comments appear. Yeah, might have. My family's all Virgos. My mother's a Virgo. My father's a Virgo. My older brother's a Virgo. My younger brother was supposed to be a Virgo. He's 2 days away from being a Virgo. Kept me alive as a kid and almost had me killed as an adult. Jeez. I also discovered that if I edit the video in the YouTube editor, that it cuts the chat away, so this video will not be edited at all. But anyways, y'all, I'll see y'all next week. Do the survey. I greatly appreciate that. And peace.